Alan, starting tonight on Virgin Media 2 and then across the weekend on Virgin Media Sport, it's a real treat for Munster fans as they can see some famous classic matches in the Heineken Cup. Let's start with 2003, the miracle match against Gloucester. What memories do you have from that day?
They're strange. It's incredible thinking back on them, Stuart, because I think it was such a memorable occasion for everyone. I think we probably didn't understand the full magnitude of what we possibly could achieve, particularly for us qualifying out of the group. We had lost to Gloucester in round one. We lost the previous week away to Perpignan. So we were most probably looking at not making the knockout stages, which was very disappointing for us. We had to win by 27 points. It was something we didn't know before the game, I think, which was crazy. And I suppose that's been well documented. We were just solely focusing on trying to restore a little bit of pride and a feel-good factor in the group. And what happened then was just incredible, I think, as the game went on. But the build-up was really, I'm not sure even if the fans knew, the supporters knew what we possibly could achieve. I think it was the impossible, really, to beat such a strong Gloucester side by so much, given what we had, given the way they'd kind of beaten us so well and over in Kingsholm in round one. So it was always going to be a tough situation. We were just kind of focusing on winning the game and restoring a little bit of pride, but what ensued after was incredible.
On what moment during the game did you think it might happen and you could win and qualify by 4 clear tries and 27 points?
Well, we never got into the numbers as regards the points difference. I think we knew if we got a bonus point win, and then it's just amazing. People still ask me to this day, but what did we not go through the permutations before the game? And I think maybe the coaches probably knew, but we didn't speak about it. And as I said, it was just completely win the match, see what happens. But I do think at half time, when we scored just before half time, Mossy Lawler scored in the corner. I think it was that was a big moment for us because we 2 tries got, and it was funny, we kind of scored in each quarter of the game. We didn't do it the easy way, but I think at half time we certainly sensed a real opportunity to go for it. Again, there was no mention of how many points we need to score. Just keep going, be relentless, don't give up, and let's go for the tries. And I suppose when the 4th try went in, Rog gets the conversion. Then the messages started coming into the field. Don't give away any penalties. Don't let them score. We're going through if it stays like this. And it was just madness for the last couple of minutes, and incredible scenes at the end, I think. And it's a game that will live long in the memory forever for all of us as players. It was a really special day. The atmosphere was just phenomenal, and I think it just had a different feeling than a different feel to that game. Maybe because we probably thrived on the fact of being the underdogs, being written off, and we just produced a performance that day that was relentless against a top English side who were top of the Premiership at the time. And as I said, they beat us pretty well in the earlier round. So probably, half time was the moment that we said, let's just keep going. But no mention of points. It was, let's go for the tries. And we didn't make it easier for ourselves, as I said, because, we didn't come out after half time and score another try really quickly and then, put the doubt in their minds, because we felt that we respected Gloucester so much because they were such a powerful side, and they weren't a team that we were just going to run through and score 2 more tries easy in the second half. So, but there was a real buzz about the dressing room. It was a really enjoyable day, and there was an intensity there that was really unique.
You mentioned the scenes at the end on the pitch. What were they actually like?
It was just unbelievable. I think we were probably still in shock as players, but the crowd flooding onto the pitch, players being carried off the pitch. We went up into the stand and we sang, and the crowd sang, and it was just a really surreal kind of moment. And people often ask, what do you miss about playing rugby now, professional rugby. It's those kind of moments. They're special because you put so much hard work. You contrast, Stuart, the probably the feeling the night before was one of nervousness, of frustration. The mood in the camp all week wasn't great. As I said, we came back from Perpignan the previous weekend, having lost over there, and been really disappointed because we kind of had set ourselves each year in the European Cup. We set ourselves a standard of making the knockout stages. So all that week was people were tetchy, they were narky, they were disappointed, but that probably fueled the determination to go out and produce a real performance. And genuinely, it was one of, we've got to restore pride here for ourselves, and we're better than this. And Gloucester were saying they were really looking forward to Thomond Park, and that probably irked us a little bit that they were looking forward to come. They were very kind of jovial in their press conferences all that week and stuff. So it's just Thomond Park was always a different place. It was always a special kind of an atmosphere, and lots of away teams and players that spoke over the years how difficult it was. The crowd were really got behind us, and they just gave us that extra ounce of energy, and we needed it that day. As I said, we didn't do it the easy way, but it was just incredible. It's kind of like the writing was on the wall, really, and we didn't realize it as players that it was going to happen. But some great leaders in the team. Anthony Foley was brilliant. The way he spoke just before, after, during. Mick Galway the night before in the team meeting was he was shedding a few tears about what it meant to play for Munster, and that we had to find, restore the pride and put pride back in the jersey, because we felt we'd underperformed the week before and got bullied over in France. So it was incredible. People remember it and will remember it for a long, long time, and it was a really special day.
Great. Moving on to 2006, it was a strange one for you in regards to injury, but you managed to get back fit for the final. But can you talk me through watching the semi-final win against Leinster at Lansdowne Road, on how good it was to beat your rivals?
Yeah, I think when we played unfortunately, I wasn't involved in the quarterfinal or semi-final or 5 rounds of the pool games, because I did my knee. I ruptured my cruciate ligament of my knee in round 1 away in Sale, and I thought my career was over. It was a very disappointing, frustrating time. It was a tough night for the players as well, because we got well beaten in Sale, and Frankie Sheehan picked up a bad neck injury as well. So it was a lot of doom and gloom in the camp, but the boys were amazing. They picked themselves up and they won the next 5 rounds, and got the home quarterfinal, which was put in the old Lansdowne Road against Perpignan. Which, with respect to Perpignan, we'd been with them a lot and pitted against them a lot in Europe over the years. But we felt, you would feel that this is a winnable game. You're at home, and that's the way the team had played in the other pool games there was a good bit of momentum with us. Funny enough, it was a stuttery enough performance against Perpignan, but we won, got to semi-final, and it looked like that, the permutations for us were that and I'm sure Leinster people would admit this as well, that, Toulouse were favourites against Leinster and Toulouse, and not many people had gone to Toulouse over the years and won there, and there was probably people expected Toulouse to win that game. Leinster shocked them, played incredibly well. They were absolutely brilliant. And then, the realisation after that Perpignan game is that we're playing Leinster in Dublin, and again, this is one that we would fancy. We think we can, we don't have to go to France now. It's a better situation for us. We go back to Dublin again and we play Leinster. And so it was from round 1 to being in a semi-final, the mood was so much different, because we were bruised and battered after round 1. Now we're sensing an opportunity to go to another final and possibly, get our hands in that trophy. But obviously, we'd seen what Leinster did against Toulouse and the dangers they possess, particularly in the back line. So it was, we certainly didn't, take our eye off the ball. And I think, again, I wasn't involved, but I was back training with the group at that stage, and there was just brilliant excitement around. And this is why, Stuart, Europe was always so special, and it was always something we prided ourselves on, and we had a wonderful kind of relationship with Europe, and this was just going to be a magnificent occasion for Irish sport. Munster, Leinster, biggest rivals in Dublin. And, you know, I remember being on the bus going to the game and just being flabbergasted at the amount of Munster fans that seemed to be there. And we didn't see the same number of Leinster fans. And, you know, that's something that was spoken about afterwards, how all the Munster people living in Dublin had hoodwinked Leinster people into getting tickets and stuff like that. But it was a brilliant performance by Munster, and they continued probably the form that they had showed in the pool games. A real kind of aggressive determination and an incredibly strong forward performance that day again against Leinster, where probably, again, with respect to the Leinster forwards, Munster probably felt that was our only way of beating them. Take on the Leinster forwards, get the better in the set piece, and try and put pressure on their talisman, which was Felipe Contepomi at 10, and get into his face and put pressure on him. And, you know, the game was probably very, very tight for the first half, and Felipe missed a couple of penalties, and that seemed to lift the Munster fans, the Munster team, and gradually Munster kind of wore Leinster down a little bit, and got a few late scores in the game. The scoreline probably flattered us a little bit, but it was an incredible occasion. One that I'm sure, you know, Leinster fans don't look back with any sort of joy, or the players, but we probably have one of them in 2009 as well at Croke Park. But that was just a brilliant performance by Munster, and again to be going to a final. And I was sitting there on the bench thinking, I'm very close now to making a return, and thinking, you know, can I get myself in a position in a couple of weeks' time to try and push to get maybe on the bench for Munster for that final, and that fortunately happened for me.
When did you know you were on the bench?
The night before the game. It was kind of hanging in the balance for a couple of weeks. I had a chat with Declan Kidney, and he said, look, you're back training kind of fully at that stage, and I just needed to get fitter and get sharper and do more rugby sessions, and then play a couple of games. So I played 20, 25 minutes with my club, Shannon, in the All-Ireland League final. Then we went to Wales and we played Ospreys on a Friday night. I played half a game there. And then the following Tuesday night, we played the Scarlets in Wales. We kind of stayed on a mini tour there. Our Scarlets game was called off for some reason during the season, and we had to play Scarlets. So we stayed in Wales for a few days, and I played a half a game against Scarlets. So I played 20 minutes for Shannon, half against Ospreys, half against Scarlets, and then trained pretty well for the week in the build up to the Heineken Cup final. And unfortunately, you know, and I felt bad about this in a sense, Stephen Keogh had come in and been on the bench for a lot of the games, and he was the one who had to lose out for the final. And I felt incredibly I felt for him, but for me, you know, being with Munster for probably 9 years at that stage, we were now in the final. I felt personally, and I didn't say this, that this was one we just can't lose another one. We lost in 2000, 2002, loads of semi-finals, and I want to be somewhere part of this one if we actually win it. And you know, so I really pushed myself on for a couple of weeks, and as I said, and luckily enough, I got Declan Kidney put me on the bench. I came off the bench on the 76th minute. Didn't touch the ball, didn't make any tackles, didn't hit a ruck, did nothing. Just ran around hoping the final whistle had went, and eventually it did. And I probably jumped around like as if I'd won it on my own. But that was probably, you know, I didn't feel like I'm not part of this. You know, sometimes you hear substitutes who come off the bench that, you know, it's not the exact same as starting the game. But for me, this was just an incredible bonus. 6-7 months earlier, I was sitting in a dressing room in Stockport on my own while the second half of Sale v Munster was going on, thinking my career is over. And 7 months later, I'm sitting in the dressing room in Cardiff in the Millennium Stadium as it was then, and with a Heineken Cup medal around my neck, and it was just incredible.
And as you say, after years of hurt, you finally got your hands on the trophy, beating Biarritz in Cardiff. I imagine it's a day you'll never forget.
No, it's not, and it was again, it was a lot of heartache that went on before that with the finals, semi-finals, and stuff like that. So it was a very, very special day that people won't ever forget. I think you talk about the Gloucester game and the miracle match and stuff like that, but this was the this is what we wanted. We want to win trophies. We didn't want to be a team that just has big wins in Thomond Park and a win here and there on the road and ultimately lose in a semi-final or final. This was the holy grail that we wanted to win, and we felt that mentally we were much stronger than previously. We were a better team. We were fitter, and that if we played to our ability, that we were probably in a better position in '06 to be European champions. Maybe 2002 and 2000 we were in bonus territory a little bit, and certainly against Leicester in 2002 they were probably a stronger team, more experienced. 2000 was probably bonus territory, because we'd won in Toulouse and in Bordeaux against Toulouse, and nobody expected us to be there. Now in 2006, people were not shocked that Munster were contenders to win a European Cup even before the competition started. So we were able to handle that mantra and that tag in a better way, and it was just a phenomenal day, to be honest, Stuart. And you see people in the crowd crying, players crying, and it wasn't just that particular campaign. It was just a culmination of an incredible amount of work that went on for years previously.
And what about the fans that day in Cardiff and in Limerick? Crazy scenes.
Yeah, they were brilliant, and that's really when it all sinks in, because you're under so much pressure as a player, and it's pretty relentless, and it's all consuming. The training, the build up, and these are the kind of joyful moments and periods that you can really let it sink in. And coming back to Limerick, back to Shannon Airport and seeing people there to meet us, massive crowd, it just sinks in. And for me, it was just about enjoying those moments. I probably forget a lot of stuff that went on in matches over the years, but you can't remember that stuff better. The people you met, the people who helped you along the way and stuff like that. And so many of those people we met the following day in Limerick, great rugby people from all the junior clubs, and everybody was able to celebrate it it was a party. It was a big party in Limerick, and we went to Cork the next day, and again something similar. So they were a special couple of days, and it was just nice that everybody was able to celebrate it together, and this was really special. And it was the work of a lot of work had gone into trying to win that trophy.
And then 2008, you were named man of the match in the final against Toulouse. Was that your best memory in a Munster shirt?
Obviously, when you win trophies, they're very, very special, and that's what you do it for, and that's where you want to be. There's so many games over the years where we were in the south of France, where we didn't have a big crowd in the earlier days, when we really had to dig in and get wins and be physical and deal with an awful lot of pressure. There's games along the way there that stand out in my mind, but ultimately, when you can stand there at the end and lift a trophy and be part of something. Again, it was a different experience for me this time. I played all the pool games, and I was loving my rugby, and I was playing pretty well. And I felt a bit like a fraud winning the man of the match, because I think just as a team, it was something that didn't really bother me that much. I just was glad to be out on the field, actually having played the 80 minutes, being really at the coalface, if you like, of this final. And it was just a privilege and an honour to be on the field. I think the team, Doug Howlett, Topoki, Maffey, we know had so much variety to our game, great attacking players out wide, world-class players, and we had great pride in the fact that we had a completely homegrown pack of forwards. Everybody in that Munster pack that started that day was from Munster, and not that makes a huge difference, but I just think we were really tight-knit, and we played well we played really well together throughout that whole campaign, and produced a performance that was probably deserving of winning the trophy that day. We certainly made it a little bit difficult on about 72nd minute when we started picking and going, trying to wind down the clock. That was probably a little bit of inexperience from Tomas O'Leary, but we got there in the end, and Tomas had come into the team that year in the quarterfinal and was an incredible player. So it was special, but I think 2006 was different feelings. Just relief in 06, and then the joy of actually being back there again and doing it again, which lots of sports people talk about that when you can go back and do it again. It's very difficult to win one. It's harder to win two, or more, or 4 or 5. Leinster won 4, and that's incredible. But there were special times for us, and that day again was a wonderful day.
And those changing rooms must be a special place to be in after those wins.
Yeah, and that's as I said, Stuart. That's what that's where you can really kind of just let go, relax, smile, think, and enjoy the kind of surreal joy of why you do it and what's it all about. And you count yourself lucky because so many brilliant sports people and so many great people don't get the chance to win trophies. And here we were a second time back in the same place. So they're lovely. It's a lovely place to be, and that's probably the nicest part of being a sports person, when you can go in afterwards and really go, wow, that was amazing. We did it together. And the hard work, the dedication, the fitness, missing out on parties, missing out on loads of different things throughout the year, that you consciously make a decision. Yeah, I'm a professional athlete, and I'm not drinking on a night out, or I'm going doing an extra fitness session or whatever. These are the times where you go, bang, it was worth it. It was brilliant. This is why I did it. And I wish I could go back to that moment in the dressing room where you just sit there and every joke is funny. Everything that anyone says is it's just a place of joy, really. And, but we'd sat in those dressing rooms as well, Stuart, over the years where it was heartache as well. So, and that makes you probably appreciate it more, that it's part and parcel of sport, winning, losing. And we've sat in dressing rooms where there's been absolute heartbreak as well. But these are the moments that were really special that you think back on.
Great. And moving forward to today, we see some rugby going ahead in the Southern Hemisphere this weekend. How excited are you for rugby to return to Ireland?
Yeah, I think it'd be brilliant. Obviously, there's a procedure and there's government guidelines, and people's health and safety are the most important thing. But sport is just a really important part of people's lives throughout Ireland, throughout the world. And you see in the GA and the soccer and all the individual sports people who want to get back and play, and it brings joy to people's lives. So I think for the rugby community to have a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, that some rugby is going to return in August, is absolutely brilliant. I think it's been a very difficult period for everybody in Ireland, but sport gives people something to look forward to. And so hopefully there's going to be challenges, and it's going to be there's going to be a little bit of fear about how it all works out, but I really hope that we can get back to see some normality in sport, society as well, for sure. And it'd be brilliant to get back up and running and seeing the old last season finishing, and then see a new season starting, and hopefully we can move forward safely.
And there are reports there could be interpro matches, as you say, in August. Seems like a good idea, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I think it'd be fantastic to see Munster Leinster playing in the Aviva, and Ulster Connacht as well. So that would bring great excitement. It's happening in New Zealand now at the weekend with Super Rugby, and that's a template for everybody else to look at and see how that all works out. And hopefully we can get to that stage where some sort of crowds can get to the games as well. So it'd be a brilliant way to start, and it looks like the Pro 14 that there will be just a couple of games to try and get a knockout stage scenario, semi-final and final, and it'd be fantastic to keep the integrity of that competition and the European competition as well, to try and finish these competitions out, and then the remaining Six Nations games as well for Ireland. So everybody's hopeful. Fingers crossed things go well, and that procedures can be followed and people are sensible and that we can see some rugby back on our screens again, or perhaps people be able to go to games again.
And finally, are you worried about the future of professional rugby? And if you could make a few changes, what would they be?
Yeah, I think you'd be crazy not to be worried about professional sport at the moment in any code, because of what's happened and the impact of that. And nobody kind of knows exactly what sport is going to look like when we go back. It's driven by, fans, supporters going to stadiums, sponsorship, hospitality, all that kind of stuff. So it has a big financial implication if those things aren't at rugby games and they were playing games behind closed doors. If crowds are reduced, it generates the revenue for the RFU to in turn support the provinces and make them work as well. But the provinces are the same. They need to generate funds. So I am concerned. Yeah, definitely. I would be worried about the financial implications of this. Regarding changes to the game itself, I think there's been a lot of changes in the last number of years. There's always little things you can move around and change around, the breakdown. I see lots of people talking about scrums and World Rugby were proposing limiting scrum time after one scrum, no reset. So there's certain little tweaks that may happen. I don't think there needs to be any monumental shift or change of what the laws in the game at the moment. I think, and if there is kind of change, I wouldn't be for changes for the sake of, for regarding COVID-19, just making changes because of the pandemic. I'd be very concerned if you do take away the art of scrummaging and the close contact of rugby. So look, we've got to wait and see, Stuart. It's going to take a little bit of time to see how it all works out, and hopefully we can get normal rugby matches played.